you are your own record label. You build a structure out so that you are in control of your entire music business enterprise. Once I realized how to build and scale my own music businesses, I was like, wow, this is really something that can be replicated. My team, which is pretty big, there's 14 people on my team, and we're actively scouting talent who we think has, real potential, because there's lots of different things that I do. I run an entertainment law firm. I have the top music attorney school, and it's very much about just finding like artists and music producers and record label owners and just helping them. Specifically with this channel, it's a music business education channel where I can give you lots of stuff for free and I can meet with you once a week and do the live stream. And it's just, I love it because this is what I've done since I was 4 years old. And then I just made it make sense with, I'm like, let's go to law school and combine that with like my music marketing background and just all the stuff that I stacked to learn how to market my own music career and make money from my own music career. That's why I've done everything. It truly is. And then I just found like a passion for law and helping you guys. What's missing for so many of you is just there's a gap. And it's usually an educational gap. And it's just something that like I can speak for myself. Like I was just so naive about. And then once I learned the information, it changed everything. So it's just is the thing that's instilled my commitment for what we do. A lot of you are like 9-to-5ers, you got the day job and you have a dream, and that dream is going to be different for everyone, right? Some people want to quit their job and they want to do music full-time, or there's some of you who are doing music full-time and you're just not making the revenue goals that you want. And so you're trying to figure out how to better monetize your income. Or even yesterday, I had a consultation and the client's been in the industry for a long time, but just like been in bands and been signed to labels and all this stuff. And so you have these ups and downs in your career. And it's kind of like once you get dropped from a manager or a label and you just don't know what to do no more, right? You're like, I don't know, they were doing all these things and now I'm on my own and I'm starting over, even though I've been in this for a long time. So that's kind of what inspired this on just, I started this channel and I want to teach you guys how to become your own record labels because that's what I did. I got so fed up of just really bad deals and getting frustrated with people and trying to get signed and then finally getting signed and then realizing it's really not so great, right? So that Orko and I decided to start our record label. What I want to do is kind of just take you guys through how this works and how you can make it work for yourself and just some practical stuff and takeaways, right? Just kind of implementing this whole like do it yourself thing. It's not like this fluffy idea, right? There are like hard metrics that I have because I have done this now on the lawyer side for 10 years, but then on the music side as well. So once I realized how to build and scale my own music businesses, I then started to help my clients to do it, right? Because I was like, wow, this is really something that can be replicated. One of the first times that I really saw someone implementing, what we teach really, really well, it's this independent record label. And they started working with this artist. She, at the time, I think she collectively had like 18,000 followers across all social media platforms. And then over the course of 2 years, and I'm going to walk you through why this method worked, but over the course of 2 years, collectively across her platforms, she's now at like 16 million. It's insane what you can do if you really hyper focus for your own project and whatever you're trying to achieve. Some people, are the behind the scenes. They want to make music, they want to make money, they want to feed their families, and they're not looking to be in the limelight or to be super famous. And for some of you, you are, you know what I'm saying? And that's okay. So it might be about money, it might be about legacy. But what's so important is that you build a structure out so that you are in control as much as possible of every little step and aspect of how your entire, we'll call it music business enterprise, operates. Because right now, most of us are thinking, well, I just need to, get some music out and put it on Spotify and hope for the best. And we're not thinking, well, I need to be in control of the production, right? How much music is coming out? When does it come out? What's the distribution channels that it's going through? So meaning, not just are you getting it on Spotify, right? Are we utilizing the social media channels? Are we utilizing our own website to do direct to fans? So we are in control of the audience, how much money, and then are we doing meaningful collaborations, right? So these are things that we're going to talk about. But I don't know, when I saw this for the first time and then to see it happen kind of so quickly over just a 2-year span, because obviously leading up to 16 million followers, there were huge jumps that happened, right? And things that went just insanely viral on YouTube. And then I started to see, other clients that I was working with do the same thing. And they would work with, for example, they would be like, well, you do want to be a traditional label. Because I'm very much like, I'm a label for myself. I'm not trying to sign, other artists, or at least when we started the label, We weren't trying to sign other artists and do all this stuff. It was really just to build a structure around what we're doing. But anyway, once, other people that I was working with started to implement this, they started to have similar results because once you figure out your specific audience, right? The content that you have, the media that you are selling, and how to monetize, guess what? Then you start to build on that over and over. So it's been cool because, after all these years, there are a lot of people who have been able to quit their 9 to 5 jobs and, do the music thing full time. But guess what? It's really hard. Any kind, type of business that you're going to run, like a record label, is going to be challenging. So that's why I'm here, okay? Because it's about accountability. What I've seen across the board is that I can give you the blueprints and be like, this is how you're going to do it. And I can walk you through it. And it's going to be like, all the baseline stuff just to get you going. And then to look at your actual project and how do we monetize it and strategize and all the stuff. But you are the most important piece of that entire puzzle. All right, so with that being said, let me go through, I kind of went over this in a different video recently, but let me just synthesize it so you don't have to go and watch that, which is just understanding the new media framework, okay? So what record labels are doing these days, and you guys might remember it as like the 360 deal, right? So back in the day, these labels would be like, oh, if we'll give you a 360 deal, so we will sign you, you have to produce so much music for us, we own it. And we also get a little piece of everything that you're doing in your music career. It then over time evolved from being the 360 deal to your recording contract. And then, like, buried on page 15 appears a section called ancillary rights. And ancillary rights is where it says, we still get a little bit of all your entertainment career income. So, AKA, like, nothing changed. It's literally the same agreement. They just decided to call it something different. What we're going to do is that we just take their lead. We're like, these are the companies that a lot of us still, like, we'd be so excited if Universal came a knocking and wanted to sign us and whatever, because we're like, oh my gosh, finally, someone who just knows what they're doing. So then, if that's how you're feeling, you just answered your own question of like, what needs to happen? It's the knows what they're doing piece is missing for you. So you just have a little bit of a knowledge gap. Okay. So that's why this is so important to me. So we think about the different monetization pieces of how you can utilize your content. And I'm like, hey, what's the plan? Not just for now, right? Right now really matters. I need to know, when's your next release coming out? What are you doing with it? Right? How else are you monetizing what you do, right? As your services. So I'm like, look, please think of it this way. And we'll even come up with like 3 verticals right now. Vertical 1, if you put out content, you are the artist, or if you represent someone and you're putting stuff out, it's the putting stuff out. And that needs to happen. It doesn't mean that it's going to be extremely valuable right away. That value is conferred from the audience that you have. Okay. So then we go, all right, so it sounds like audience is really important. So we're going to work on the audience piece. And for a lot of us, we don't have, raging fans who are just so, for us and all that kind of, it takes time. And it's because people are busy. There's so much asked of everyone when they're online. And so you building that trust and that loyalty from your followers takes time on you. You don't just sit there and wait for it. You go and you do something to earn it. So we have the music piece, we have the audience piece, and then we're going to have the ancillary efforts piece. All right, we're gonna follow the lead of the record labels, which is how can we monetize all the stuff that you had to learn and you had to do to get to where you are. So this goes into the space of, for my music producers, for example, for my singers, for my studio musicians, if you play an instrument, if you can sing a song, if you can record yourself and send a top line to someone, guess what? You can make not only good money, but you can likely make a substantially larger amount than what you made from just distributing the music, like in a way. And I wonder if, the major labels would agree with me on this. In a way, it's like the music piece has become the least important, but it still is the most important because you can't have the big rock stars without the actual music and good songs and having people fall in love with them. But, the brand and the effort and all the other stuff that you have to do and what labels have to do to package the music and sell the music and make money. So again, taking that framework, which has been proven to work decade after decade after decade, we now apply that to ourselves because it's not hidden anymore. And to the extent it was hidden or you didn't know, that's why I'm here, right? I do these deals with the majors every day. So sorry, I'm just going to share it all on the channel. So in this vertical over here, it's really getting you to think through what you can monetize for the most amount of money and then to build customer base, a client base for that thing. And so again, music producer, you can be hired for your actual services, right? If you then, because you're just one of the, these genius independent artists who just have to learn how to do everything, which is what I had to do, which is what that Orko had to do. You learn to be a music producer and a good songwriter and a performer and a model and a video editor, and you know what I'm saying? And the list just goes down. And so you do those things because you're not going to wait for anybody else, because you are, in fact, your own record label. So in the practical kind of execution pieces, one thing that you can do as soon as you're done, listening to this or watching this, is to write down what are the things that you are doing right now to monetize what you have. Because what I do really effectively with the clients that I work with and the teams that I work with is to look at the project of where it's at. And you can do this audit yourself. You don't need me, okay? It can be helpful to have someone to, walk you through this, but you don't need me. You can sit there and do an audit of what is the project right now? What are you doing? Money's important, right? How much is going out? How much is coming in? And where are those channels of earnings coming from? And most of the time, it's not so much of we just realize that we're not making as much as, we want to, but we go, we didn't even realize we weren't taking opportunities that are just there. And we talk about sync licensing, right? Getting your music into TV and film. And then, I was talking to someone else earlier this week, and just being like, there was a song that was so well suited for a certain type of business, like an adult brands kind of business. And I just immediately, I was like brainstorming, like, we need to, call these different, locations, and we're going to pitch it. And this is how we need to use it as a jingle. And, it's funny, we've gotten huge deals just from that. So like your one song could make you 50 grand. That doesn't mean it's going to happen for every single person. It doesn't necessarily work like that across the board, but that's why you just have to be open. It's like this whole manifesting thing. We think so small. Record labels, though, don't think small. Record labels think like record labels. So that's why you're going to think like a record label. All right. So in that context of like the importance of just understanding, right, the different verticals of what we just went through of, you have your audience and you have the monetization piece of what are you not thinking of? And that's going to be your audit step that you need to do. And you have a cup of coffee, maybe do it tomorrow morning, you know what I'm saying? And write down all of the things that you are good at. What could you sell? And just think big. Let's get even ridiculous. Let's write down stuff that might not even be practical right now, but maybe it's something that you could do. Okay. And this little, pillar, so to speak, is the thing that usually we find the most missing. And then what I do beyond that is obviously the legal stuff, right? So I'm very practical. I'm very just like, I know how to do lots of music marketing. I have to market lots of brands, legal brands, music brands. That stuff is important. The logistics, understanding music distribution. And once you understand how everything is working together, including the legal side, which would be things like your copyrights, right? So the copyright to your actual music and making sure you register that with the copyright.gov website. So registering it with the government to make sure that you have that piece of paper if you need to sue to enforce. Just before recording this, I did a reaction video to Kyle Beats. On his video, he's talking about this loop that this artist took without permission. He's going through the whole story. And in the middle of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really hope that this loop was, or I should say the sample pack that the loop was in, that the whole thing was copyrighted. Because when someone comes and takes your beat, takes your song, takes your vocal, takes whatever, and samples without permission, your ability to get a payday from that, a huge part of it is whether you had your registration prior to the infringement. So it's little stuff like that that can be a huge moneymaker for you. And look, if I could just be dry about this for a second, just before the show, I was reading all these different things that are happening. And, there are all these big cases of Universal and Warner and Sony. They're filing all these lawsuits against companies for copyright infringement, including the AI companies, right? We talk about that on this channel. And I'm like, these record labels focus so hard on figuring out how to make money from the music, including trying to find infringement anywhere that they can. And in the headline, it's like their $1 billion lawsuit just settled. And, we don't know the exact terms of how much they got, but they're so creative in trying to monetize. I think monetizing infringement is a whole thing. So that's why we're focusing on what you can do on becoming your own record label, where that quite, whether that quite literally means you are wanting to sign artists, you're wanting to sign music producers, you want to be a media company. Great. I love it. Or if you're more like kind of where I started, which is I just wanted to have something to protect myself. I want to have a limited liability company that's going to protect my personal assets, my personal car. I don't want someone coming after me in case there is a situation. And, it's just, again, back to the Kyle Beats thing. I made this point in the video. And I go, one of the things that I loved is that before he even called his attorney, he kind of went into this whole like, I'm going to problem solve and I'm going to figure out how to like basically get a payday for this loop that wasn't used. I want to get proper credits. And so I go, I love that. He's thinking like a record label. So, in the framework of starting your own record label and having all these little things that I kind of touched on, the biggest, homework item is going to be kind of you doing this little audit. But then once you're like, these are the things that I need to do, then becomes the accountability step. Now, there's a couple ways, you can get help with this. All right. So I'm very much like, if you want to, leave a comment on this video and just let me know what you're doing. Okay. And just, we can give you some feedback. But there's other ways that you can get help. If you ever do want to go through and I don't know, we do student huddles as far as like the student huddle process. We do that as part of like the music business training. And I think what we're going to do is I'll see if I can talk to my team. I'm doing this live, so I'm just kind of making these decisions on the fly. I want to talk to the team and I'll see if we can come up with some kind of like discount code because especially for last week, all the conversations that I had with you guys who are starting your record labels or otherwise just trying to build your own music business enterprise, halfway through the conversation, I'm like, you need to go through like basically and have a blueprint. You are just missing stuff in your plan. You have the creative, for example. And I was talking to a band. I'm like, you have the creative. What you have looks great. It sounds great. And then I can point out a couple of things. And I'm like, you just need to have the blueprint. And then you need to know how to copyright your stuff. And then you need to think about your trademarks. And I go, once you have the baseline of all this stuff, then you get to execute as an entrepreneur. Like that's what we're really talking about here, or a musicpreneur. All right, if you're digging this, leave a fire emoji below. Let's go, let's go. Check the description down below. So when I post this later, I'll see if I can put together some kind of discount code. So here's what I can at least do for you. If you want to, go through the music business program, it's how to start your record label, but really it's specifically what I just said, which is it's a music business training. And it's taking you through like the A to Z of all the stuff that just practically speaking has to be done in order for you to understand the music business and then to monetize because it is the legal stuff. Sorry, you got to have the contracts. What I've just learned after like 10 years of doing this is it can be consolidated into a shorter time frame because the amount of time and money, like hundreds of thousands of dollars that it cost me to learn this information, to then implement and grow six-figure business and then help people who did even better with the information. That's kind of my goal. So anyway, I will make that available to you guys if you're excited about starting your own record label and really doing this for yourself and not giving yourself kind of the excuse or the out anymore that this is like a hobby. You know what I'm saying? I got my 9 to 5, I have my family. But it's really for people who are like me, which is nothing's going to hold you back. Like I went to law school because I wanted to learn to protect myself, but I was like, I got to be in class, at 7. So that means I'm going to be in the studio at 4 a.m. I'm getting home at 8 p.m. That means I'm going to be in the studio from 8:30 till 10 p.m. And so just like that kind of drive and hustle, that's why the right people I think are drawn to this channel. And I appreciate you guys being here. And you're so amazing. And I'm so grateful I can, be here to help you. So if you found this video helpful, give it a big thumbs up. I'll see you on the next one. I'm top music attorney, Miss Krystle.